How did Bitcoin fall back after the explosion? How will the market go next? If you are interested in this issue, please follow me to read. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, which has fallen back a lot after yesterday's explosion. Let's take a look. But this wave of decline and this wave of decline has no volume. If we measure it a little bit, it is about $900. We can find that if we observe the volume energy when it rose at that time, the volume energy is very abundant. Then our current callback in terms of volume, it is still very sluggish. But I would think that our wave of pullback is not the real supply, but the needle we inserted and the needle that was inserted more. It is caused by short positions because of short positions. When you hold a short position, then the market bursts and hits your stop loss or your liquidation price. Then you will buy your position out of thin air. So it is a stock. The upward power is equivalent to saying that the price has been pushed out by a certain distance, and the subsequent drop is only for correction. It really does not need volume energy because it is not a real supply, but caused by a series of liquidation. Let's take a look at yesterday's liquidation data. For example, we released the news at around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock yesterday. Within 24 hours, we liquidated 120 million. 120 million is 120 million US dollars. The empty order was liquidated yesterday. So we can take a look at the bottom. In fact, it has very complete data. And you can see that the time point of this one just happened to be when our price exploded yesterday and the news came out. Then I hope that you will not be victims. So our current decline does not need to be demanded. It is just an adjustment for the distance we have traveled in front of us. Well, let's explain whether our rise is sustainable. Because you can see that our yesterday's rise was very scary. The distance from the lowest point to the highest point was more than 2,000 US dollars. This is very, very scary. The highest point to the lowest point is nearly 10%. The previous wave of decline seems not to be too inferior. But in many cases, the rise caused by this kind of news will not be able to continue. How to say it? In fact, we can give many good examples. For example, I don't know if you still remember us. The two high points created in this round of bull market were actually driven by the news, including the high point we created here at that time. It was the highest price when the Bitcoin Futures ETF was officially launched. As for the price, you can find that it did rise when the news came out. And the increase was not small, 6.71%. But you can see that it did not continue after us. That is, the news. There is no way for us to get the proof from the previous example. You can see that we did skyrocket after the news. But the follow-up wave of bulls has not been continued. There is another good example. I don't know if you still remember that when Coinbase was listed, it was this K-line? I was very, very impressed. At that time, when Bitcoin exploded upwards, everyone was crazy because there was a big bullish news. And finally the first exchange was launched. Also pulled 6.26% of the real part at that time. But you can see that the market did not continue the bullish trend because of this wave of news. Or it did not start a wave of bullishness. So this kind of news did indeed, it is quite scary. Because it cannot tell us or it has no continuity. Once the news comes out, its increase will actually be released. In fact, we can also refer to the previous wave of increase. It was also due to some news related to ETFs. In fact, our wave of rise did not have a big fall in the middle. It was completed in one go, including the section in the middle where it rose most violently. I also think that if our wave is only because of the news, then it is very likely that it will not be able to go any further. Because our news has been released and this is relatively temporary news. So we can pay attention to it in the future. Let's take a look at this trend line. If this trend line is blocked, then I think this is a very, very good opportunity. If we break through, then we will form a short-term trend in the short term. I think it will be more difficult. In fact, this is the case. If the position is said to be blocked, then it will be no problem to proceed according to our previous pace and the trading plan we made before. We can go short in a good position. Of course, this short is the short of the trend or it has not been sold yet. In fact, there is also a second opportunity to escape from the top. And usually when we create this kind of second top, there will be a structure in the second top, which is relatively rare. It is in the form of this kind of door. For example, when we were at this time, there is also a structure for the rebound after the position falls. It does not mean that the gate is directly used. Then the rebound after the position falls also has a structure. It does not mean that the gate is directly drawn down immediately after the rise. It is not likely to be good. Let's take a look again. In fact, the current wave of rise is a rebound of 0.382 against the previous wave of decline. Okay, the real part is the real part. If we measure our second period of decline, this is the first A period of decline, this is the second period of decline. It is the second period of decline. The rebound of 0.618 is very accurate. You can find that after the decline and then rebound. The point where the rebound touches is at 0.618. Okay, then I personally think that we can actually do it a little bit later. Note that the position of the lower edge of our box in the early stage is about 28,500 to 29,000. If it is blocked at this position, then we will be fine according to the trading plan we just made. Of course, it is very conservative here. If we say that even the previous high point is about 30,222 to 30,222. If we are more precise, if the high point of 30,222 is broken, then I will think that the wave of short positions in front of us has actually finished, because this wave of short positions starting from here will not be able to go. If we say that we do not catch it and be conservative, it may be above 29,000. If we can come here, what does it mean that we have fallen the most violently? All of them have been swallowed up. So the bears can see that he has no advantage left. Let's cut to a lower level. In a lower level, of course I personally didn't do much yesterday. But you can see his strength. In fact, from the perspective of 4 hours, there are some. And then we can see if there is such a continuous rise in him. And then we will make a decision. Of course, if you want to choose to short, you must wait for him. The structure will appear the fastest and fastest. I believe it will take a week or two. If there is no 1 or 2 weeks, if there is another wave of decline, the probability is indeed not high, so I will definitely observe the next opportunity carefully. We are going to have a very good entry period for trending short orders. If you want to participate in this transaction, you are very welcome. You can click the Bybit link below the video. Now, as long as you deposit $100 in KYC, you will immediately give you $1,000 in value. The Bitcoin contract position is a real contract position. You can choose long or short. After you open it, you can start to see profits. Thank you very much for the gift. You are very welcome. You can like my video, subscribe and share. Turning on the little bell is the biggest support for me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.